etc. Yep, good.
So we're going to be taking off on runway 21. Okay, it's a sealed dry runway and it's no slope, and we've calculated that we have sufficient distance to take off. The wind is coming from our right slightly with a slight headwind, so that's going to aid our performance, but there may be a bit of crosswind. Okay. We're going to line up using the full length of the runway. We'll apply the brakes, make our radio call for rolling, smoothly through to full power. We'll check 2280 to 2380 static RPM and check that the temperatures and pressures are in the green range. Alright, at that stage, brakes release, keeping the weight off the nose wheel. We want positive acceleration by the threshold, and I'd probably like to be airborne just the other side of taxiway Juliet here. Okay. We will climb at 57 knots to an obstacle clearance altitude of 300 indicated, at which stage we can lower the nose, accelerate above 60, retract the flap and continue normal climb. If we have an engine failure on the roll, close the throttle, maximum braking, come to a stop on the runway. Engine failure airborne, if this was actually a short strip, we would have a very small probability of having runway remaining. Okay. But being that we're here at Ardmore, we will have runway remaining, so close the throttle, lower the nose, flaps and land. And airborne engine failure after takeoff with insufficient runway, lower the nose, close the throttle, carbide on, fuel shut off in, select a field, set the best glide, 65 with the flaps lowered, and we'll select a field. Yeah. Okay. So what I'll get you to do is keep your hands and feet on the controls and you can follow me through. Sure. I'll bring us around. There you go, I'll demonstrate this one first.
Okay. So you have control for the first one?
Yes.
Yeah.
One aircraft, 2-1. Lingering around final there.
Yep.
Having a look at that mass up while we make our way around. Yep. So reasonably consistent. Definitely slightly from the right.
Yep.
So not gusting, so no real requirement to add any airspeed. Briefed speeds. Yep. And we've got Papa Sierra Alpha just on final there. About a half a mile final coming through the windscreen now. Yep. Doesn't look like there's anybody else, which is quite useful.
More traffic, Mike Bravo Foxtrot, downwind 2-1, touch and go.
They're just moving around to be a fair bit of crosswind there actually.
There we go, just happened just now.
Okay, just keep an eye on that.
Your strobe light landing light, transponder.
Tell, thank you. One last check of final, and it is indeed all clear in the windsock. More traffic Alpha Mike November lining up 2-1. Okay, so the first part is, with our lineup checks complete, is to use the full length of the runway. Okay. So, in practice that is, as I said, quite literally coming right out here. Just keep an eye on your wheels on the edge of the runway. Yep. And just make sure we use as much space as possible. A slight crosswind from the right, so we'll have our controls to the right slightly. Okay. Admiral traffic Alpha Mike November is rolling 2-1 remaining in the circuit. Okay, so feet on the brakes. Yep. Smoothly through to full power. Okay, static RPM checked, T's and P's green, brakes release. Yep. Okay. Airspeed's live. We've got positive acceleration before the point we wanted. Yep, we're happy with that. 40 knots. 50 knots and rotate, and we're airborne by the point we wanted. Yep, and set the 57 knot climb attitude. Okay, you'll see the nose is quite high. Yep, a fair bit of right rudder, but we're pointed where we need to be. Okay, approaching our obstacle clearance altitude now, 300 feet. Yep, gently lower the nose, and as we accelerate through 60, we can retract the flap. Okay. Now just let that stabilise for a second. You have control. I have control. You can fly the second for me.
Crossing 2-1 hotel.
So you can see that does all happen pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
A little bit more right rudder there, Tip. That'll help you out. That's it. So if you're using a lot of aileron, yeah, you need to be using a rudder with that.
Okay, about 600 feet, we'll clear to the right, clear straight ahead. Clear to the left, but we're still quite close to the runway.
Yeah, you give it a couple more 100 feet, no problem with that. Yep.
And turn crosswind.
quickly.
Oh yeah.
And it's got a really good performance, this little wee aeroplane, so.
Clear right. Clear ahead. Clear left.
Okay, so based on what I observed of the aircraft landing in front of us, and that's what I observed on takeoff, there is a little bit of turbulence on final.
Yep.
So we'll need to have a think about that when I brief you shortly for a short field approach and landing.
Okay.
Okay, this one I'll just paddle you through because it is just an approach and landing.
Hang on,
Just what's your altitude here?
Southwest in 2,100, descending 1,600, joining overhead.
Okay, so I have control.
You have control.
And I'm just going to take control while I brief you so you can focus a little bit on the briefing a little bit more rather than the flying.
Okay.
Traffic Alpha Mike November, downwind 21, full stop, not complete. Okay, so brakes are off, still applying pressure, the carriage is down.
Admiral traffic,
Mixture is rich, fuel is on.
2-1 seal.
Finally sufficient for a go-round. Harnesses and hatches, closed, locked and secure.
Yep.
And lights are on. Okay. So we're going to land on runway 21 seal. We know that there's a slight crosswind from the right, but a headwind that'll help us out. We're going to aim to land just beyond the numbers, crossing the threshold at 50 feet at 55 knots. We're going to add 5 knots because of the gusting wind.
Yep.
At 300 feet on the approach, we will make a decision. Are we stable? If not, we will go around. Okay? That's the briefing. You have control. And John means the approach when you're ready. And it's just a normal approach. The only difference is once you get below 500 feet and that final stage of flat, bringing it back to 50 knots.
Okay.
So don't forget your carb heat first with that. And there's your power. Very good. So again, if you find yourself having to use a lot of aileron,
Yeah.
probably just means you need a tiny bit of rudder to go with it.
Gotcha.
Admiral traffic 0 Alpha Tango, where you are about 1,200. Joining non-traffic.
So have a look at your track. Your track's about 330. Just bring the airplane right around. Bear in mind your track should be about 300 to be perpendicular. Yep. Your reference point's really going to want to be almost Mount Eden. So keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. Otherwise you just get blown out and you'll end up not with a square circuit. That's looking about perpendicular to the runway. A little bit better.
Admiral traffic, Mike Bravo, Foxtrot, downwind 21, touch and go.
The wind is coming slightly from our right, so just a slight early turn there. That's okay. Get your airspeed under control and your rate of descent under control, and you need to start thinking about configuring because it needs to be configured by 300 feet. As we come below 500, just bring the nose up slightly, pull flat, and we need to set 50 knots now. So bringing the nose up, 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 up. And be more like that. It's quite a high nose attitude compared to a normal approach.
Traffic Alpha Mike November, final 21.
Okay, again, if you're having a lot of aileron, you probably need a little bit of
traffic, Fox traffic to Sierra, downwind 21, vacating golf.
A little bit of power, just a tiny bit. We want to maintain 55 knots here.
Yeah.
So nose attitude's just a wee bit low. And we're probably going to land on the side of the runway here, so you want to bring it around to the right a little. So back on profile now, you can just reduce the power a little bit. That's it. Don't lower the nose too much though, because that'll just accelerate you. A little bit of power, a little bit of power.
Yeah.
Now we're getting a wee bit slow, so now you'll need to lower the nose. Remember, attitude controls airspeed, so the only way to go faster is to lower the nose. With that, you may need to bring power. 300 feet's gone through, and I'm happy that we're stable, so we can continue. So runway's clear, approach from stable, information not required. A little bit of power, wait, power. And we want to crash across the threshold at 50 feet, so we're a wee bit low here.
Yeah.
reducing the power.
Traffic, Micro, Foxtrot, finance 21, touch and go.
A little bit of power, a little bit of power. Tiny bit high in the flare here. Yeah, you got to get the airplane down now.
Oh, yeah.
And a bit of crosswind, so left rudder and right aileron. Close throttle.
Take over down
Keep it straight. Gently on the brakes, gently on the brakes. Excellent braking.
Mile for my number 4, stop not complete.
And we'll vacate here, and we'll just start taxiing back towards the threshold.
Yep.
Not too bad. You can see we were a little bit low.
Yeah.
Okay, we got hammered by the trees.
Oh, yeah.
The turbulence off the trees. And that, I think you're trying to aim to cross the end of the runway at 50 feet.
Okay.
It's to cross the threshold at 50 feet. Super important. Down to the left to come. Probably just do one more of those.
Okay.
It's not really ideal with the amount of crosswind to be trying to nail these at 50 knots.
Yeah.
So get you a short-field takeoff and a short-field landing, and we'll probably stop there.
Okay.
But nonetheless, I mean, your flying's okay. Just get that speed under control right early, and you'll set attitude.
Yeah.
And you must remember that attitude controls your airspeed. We got a bit slow, and I said, oh, Tim, we're a bit slow, and you apply power.
All right.
Well, that ain't going to do anything. You got to lower the nose. Now, that means you'll be lower, and you will need power to readjust your profile or rate of descent.
Yeah.
But you must lower the nose if you're too slow.
Okay.
Okay, so what we want to do here is just wander forward, and there's nobody behind us, so we'll actually go all the way around to the holding point. Yep. And I'll just get you to do pre-takeoff checks as we taxi.
Okay.
And then we'll do the briefing when we're at the holding point. Okay, sure.
Crossing to go around 21. Traffic is Alpha Tango, non-traffic side 21. Alpha traffic, Mike Bravo Foxtrot, all into 1 touch and go.
Admiral traffic, Tango for Delta, turning final 21, full stop. And dusting a bit there. Yep. It's picked up in strength as well.
Just a little bit, yeah.
India Charlie,
So we'll stop at the hold point, and you can look at briefing me on the short-field takeoff. Sure.
Admiral traffic, Fox traffic, Sierra, overhead wire roll with a mouth 1,200 feet, checking Waiheke Island.
Okay, so we're going to do a short-field takeoff.
Admiral traffic, Alpha Tango.
We're going to use 2-1 seal, but we're going to treat it as a simulated short field. We're going to line up on the runway using maximum runway length. We're going to plan to be, well, first we're going to anchor on the brakes, smoothly through to full power, checking T's and P's and checking our static RPMO about 2200, was it?
2280 to 2380 is the range.
2280 to 2380. And provided that's all okay, we'll release the brakes, accelerate down. We're going to have a positive speed and a roll by the threshold, be airborne by the first taxiway there. We're going to rotate at 50 knots.
Now, we've just identified a gusting wind from the right, so maybe we make that say 55 knots.
55 knots, yep.
Okay.
So we'll rotate at 55 knots and climb out at add 5 again, 60.
Yeah, we'll go 60. Oh, it's 57 plus 5, so 52.
Traffic, Mike Bravo Fox,
62 right.
Excellent. Got a crosswind from the right. It's increased in strength and it's gusting as well, so we'll need some crosswind technique as well. Once we're past 300 feet, we'll lower the nose and set our normal climb out of 70 knots.
Oh, and at that stage, we can retract the flaps as well.
Retract the flaps as well at that stage.
So actual line-up check's done, everything else is done. Looks like we're number 2 to whatever's on final.
Excellent.
we're going to do for the short field landing for the next one, is I want you to simulate the threshold as being the intersection of where Juliet is.
Okay.
Just because I want you to get into the habit of crossing the threshold at 50 feet. So make your threshold wherever you want, but a lot of people still pick here, and I mean, that's not 50 feet over the threshold, is it? Looking at that aeroplane there?
Yeah.
Alright, when you're ready.
India Charlie Bravo downwind for the T-Law.
Admiral traffic, Alpha Mike November, lining up 2-1. More traffic, Alpha Mike November, rolling 2-1, remaining in the circuit. Okay, so feet on the brakes. Move
Alpha traffic, Tango final 2-1, touch and go.
Okay, static RPM is fine, T and Piers are in the green, that's all fine, and release the brakes.
How are you? Alpha Tango, clear of 2-6.
Yep, we've got positive thing for the threshold there, positive airspeed. 50 knots before there, I'll rotate, rotating a little bit late.
About
too high on the nose attitude, a little bit too high there. That's it. And again, middle right rudder.
Yep.
There you go, and she'll settle a lot better into where you need to be.
300 feet, we can lower the nose. Clear right. Clear straight ahead. And clear to the left.
Alpha traffic, Mike 4 Foxtrot downwind 2-1.
Yeah, that was good. Again, just with the takeoff, you just need a little bit of right rudder because we were out of balance, and that's why you're having to put a whole lot of aileron in.
Right.
Even now we're sort of sitting in a left turn with quite a bit of right aileron. There you go. Now we're balanced. So the key with briefing these is to get them done pretty much as soon as possible.
Yep.
So as soon as we're on the downwind, your downwind call out of the way, your pre-landing checks out of the way, and then we'll brief the short field approach and landing.
Yep. More traffic, Alpha Mike November, turning downwind 2-1. Pipe brakes off, pressure in the foot brakes, undercarriages hooks, make sure you're rich, fuel shut off is in, fuel we've got sufficient for going over the entry.
Oscar Tango, Cleveland, 1100.
So secure and lights all on.
Long final 2-1.
Okay, so we've got one in front of us there. Cool, so we're going to make a short landing. And 2-1, we're going to aim to be 50 feet at the threshold, and then we'll be touching down just a bit after the numbers. Use 55 knots, 60 knots as our approach speed.
Well, 50 normally, plus the gust factor for today, so 55.
So 55. Yeah,
and the decision
our decision altitude 300 feet.
And just caution, we've got an aircraft just an hour, 10 o'clock now, joining one final.
I've got them inside.
Yes, we'll look at positioning behind it.
Traffic Mike 4 Foxtrot,
Remember, just adjust your reference point on base to be more appropriate for today's wind conditions.
Yep.
Alpha traffic, Oscar Tango, 1021, full start number 2. Alpha Traffic Zulu Alpha Tango, turning base to 1 behind Oscar Alpha Tango in sight.
The other 162 on base. Ah, fuck it.
Charlie Bravo.
There, you got somebody on base?
Yep, I've got him there.
Oh, righty.
Right beside us.
Aircraft just turned base from Alpha Mike November.
Zulu Alpha Tango on base, I've got you in sight at 3 o'clock.
Roger, are you for the seal or for the grass?
Seal, Zulu Alpha Tango.
Roger. Okay, change your plan, we're going for the grass. Okay. More traffic Alpha Mike November is left base now for the grass, 2-1. Just keep him in sight, that's it. So now with the grass runway, it doesn't have a displaced threshold. Okay, so the threshold is the end of the runway, so we'll cross that at 50 feet and then land. Okay. You landed on the grass runway before?
Once.
Oh, good.
Getting a bit high here.
So just make sure we position well over for the grass now, because we don't want to be blocking the final approach path for the seal. Yep. And you're getting a bit low here. You want to be a little bit higher up. You need to set the attitude for 50, which is going to be there, but you want to be a bit higher up, because at the moment we're going to just descend down quite quickly. Okay. And also just bear in mind there's those trees at the end, so yeah. Must hold the attitude, but don't get too low. Okay. Also, you want to avoid being this slow without full flap down. Faster, you need to lower the nose. That's it. Once you've got full flap set, then bring your speed to 55. Okay. Otherwise, hold it at the normal approach speed of 60. Right. Have a go on final insight. I've just lost him for a second. Oh, there he is. Yep. So we're full stop on the grass. Okay.
More traffic. Alpha Mike November. Final 2-1 grass. Full stop.
Okay, this to me is quite low. Yep. I'd say you're probably going to land at the patch of grass Charlie Bravo downwind for the T-long. So the taxiway Julian. So your attitude holding is good, because I know your speed holding is reflecting that. Yeah. Just bring the power back a little bit now. Yep. That's a bit more like profile. Okay, a little bit less power. Okay. And now start coming down. So you don't want to drag the airplane in. You want to just be able to hold the attitude appropriate for the airspeed you're looking for. Yeah. And then bring down 55 knots. Very good.
How much traffic Mike Bravo Foxtrot downwind to 1?
Just reduce the power now, we're getting quite high now, so I'd bring your power all the way to idle in fact, because it's quite high. So 300 feet's approaching, maybe bring a little bit of power now. See how quickly the airplane falls out of the sky when you reduce it? Yeah. But that enables you to reset the profile, lower the nose a little bit, and bring the power back a wee bit. Need to get down.
Nothing. Charlie Bravo turning final speed down.
A little bit of power, a little bit of power. Okay. 300 feet, looks pretty stable to me. It's about as stable as it's going to get in these conditions. Yep. The runway is clear, approach is looking pretty stable. The permission, of course, not required here at Admiral. Bring the power back a little bit. Starts to bring the airplane down. Close the throttle. Yeah, keep nose down. Hold the attitude there. Okay, probably just a little bit more than 50 feet over the threshold, but still coming down. It's looking pretty good. So keep coming, keep coming. Keep it coming down. That's it. You don't want to flare too early. Nice flare there. Bit of power. Whoa, easy. Off the power, off the power, off the power. Off the power, off the power. Yep. Okay, so what you got to do there, is decide whether you're going around or whether you're going to just apply a little bit of power. Okay. Keep it straight. Because what happened there, you applied way too much power and then we just started to float. So it's either full power and a go around, or a little bit of power and then off. Okay, but you can see how quickly the aircraft sinks. We'll vacate off the Yankee. Yep. So it's just taxiway in between the two runways, basically. Yeah. I think the hotel's closed, so we'll actually go across the grass. So taxiway Yankees like this bit of grass in between the two runways.
So it's not really marked or anything?
It's not really a taxiway. Well, it is a taxiway, but it's not a well-listed final. Can Can you see? Okay, we'll stop there.
Yep.
I'll do our after landing checks.
Okay. Stand by 1200, copy the laps and spot checks.
Cool. Alright, so it's clear.
Yep.
So you got the aircraft on final?
Yep.
Got space to cross before or not really? I can't see him actually do it just in the hold on.
Yeah, I'll stop. Are we clear of the grass runway here?
Yes. So
Okay.
just you see the white marker behind us?
Yep.
That's the edge of the runway.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see it.
Yeah, so you can see when you brought the power off, throttle sync.
Yeah.
So you just gotta, excuse me, work on just, well, don't just chop the power like that. Just bring it back a little bit, and see what happens. And you may need a tiny bit more. But these are also quite challenging conditions.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that power should have really been just like a little bit, maybe that.
yeah, and then bring it off as soon as we were settled, because all you're doing is you're just reducing the rate of descent temporarily.
Yeah.
But the minute we started to go up again, to make a pretty quick decision.
Yeah.
Did the birds factor into your decision at all?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Hit the birds.
Hit the birds.
Don't flinch.
Okay.
Because if you do something with the airplane and you stall,
Yeah.
you're gonna crash. If you hit a bird, it's going to make a mess.
Yeah.
But if you commit to landing, hit it. If you're on the takeoff, they will go down.
Okay.
So if you just climb, now you might still hit a bird. Right? Bird flights do happen. But you don't want to do something funny with your airplane.
Yeah.
And find yourself in a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
Do not hit a bird. I mean, if you hit a bird, as long as the airplane still flies, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So after this aircraft, we'll cross the runway.
More traffic, fast traffic to Sierra is 2 to the north, while over the mouth, 1,300 feet, checking to join non-traffic side 21.
Yep, let's go. Cool. So you know you need to make a radio call for this?
Yeah, can you do it for me?
Yeah, sure.
More traffic, Alpha Mike November's crossing the field.
And we'll aim for the taxiway just over there, so as soon as you're on the thing, might as well stay off the grass as best we can.
Yeah. The only reason for that is I normally mention the taxiway letters, and there's
Yep, well we weren't really on that specific point, so
Okay.
just crossing the seal. You're not obliged to note the taxiway. I mean, it's a good idea if you're on a taxiway, of course.
Yeah.
But you're not obliged.
So you can just say crossing seal 21.
Yep.
Okay. Yep, we're good. Good left and right. Is a bird strike likely to cause any mechanical problems like stop the engine?
Depends how badly it hits. I've hit 2 birds and they've just made a god awful mess.
Yeah.
I think if it hits your wing, it's probably going to be in a bit of trouble.
If it hits your wing?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you think about it, if it goes through propeller,
Is it because it disrupts the airflow of having the
it's going to
carcass
make a
there?
big hole in the wing.
Oh really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, a bird's not a small thing.
Yeah.
If you hit one, I mean, and I'm talking square in the middle, if it just grazes over the top or the bottom,
Yeah.
it'll probably kill the bird, probably won't make too much difference to the aeroplane.
Yeah.
But chances are, if it's coming through the propeller,
Yeah.
it's not going to get into the engine.
Yeah.
Although saying that the other day in this Tiger Moth, that it can go past the propeller and into the cockpit,
Oh.
which is, well, there's an open cockpit airplane.
Oh right. Okay, that makes sense.
Powder.
Delta Golf Yankee, Unicorn running 5. Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, it's not.
More traffic, Tango for Victor, half north, Nora,
Yeah, we'll take the powder.
joining over here.
Okay. Yep. Sure.
More traffic, Delta Golf Yankee, lining up to 21.
And we'll be able to clear both sides.
They're on my side. You go come to the right a bit. Come to the right a bit. Well,
Charlie Bravo, final, speed 2.
lovely.
Okay, come to a stop.
More traffic, Delta Golf Yankees rolling 21, vacating
Power radio.